Hello, Internet! Shalthis here, and it's time for another episode of ShoutStone. Today I'm bringing you another Shoutcast from the Hearthstone beta. This time, this one was sent to me by a user by the name of Ors from the Hearthstone subreddit, which is where I appealed for more games. And he sent me a link to his stream, so I grabbed a couple of these matchups. This comes from the arena, so let's hop into action right now. It is Malfurion versus Garrosh. Ors playing the part of Malfurion the Druid, and Gable, as in Clark Gable, playing the part of Garrosh the Warrior. So, this is, again, an arena game, so don't look for any real super synergy or really interesting decks. You might see some interesting play, but purely by chance, the way kind of arena works. Unfortunately, not a very good starting hand for Ors, not really a lot of options available, so he's just going to have to pass the turn. And let's see how Gable decides to start things off. I'm going to kick things off with an Elven Archer. Very useful card. Gets you a free 1 point of damage. Any card that has a good damaging battle cry can be very handy. But it looks like he will take it out with his hero power, which is what that card is, and many 1 health cards are the most susceptible to. Those 1/1 abilities, while they're very handy, and at least it got 1 point of damage before it died, it's almost the equivalent of, like, the boar, like the Stone Tusk boar that gets you this 1/1 and it has charge. So, alright, so he's going to play that Silverback Patriarch to start things off. That's a 1/4 minion with Taunt, which is very handy. I like a lot of these heavy health, low damage, low cost minions. Well, Demolisher, a great choice, and going to use that heavy war axe, the fiery war axe, first swipe of it to take off most of the health, basically leaving that minion exposed to probably be taken out by the Demolisher on the next turn. But of course, it does depend on what Ors plays next. Now, this game is taking place in the Stormwind map, which is my favorite map, or board, however you want to refer to it as. I just call them a map because of, you know, esports, general habits, I guess. But yeah, no, it's one of my favorite maps to play on, because everything is breakable. Every corner has something you can break. And that's what I like, being able to really destroy and change the environments on the boards in between turns. But Stormwind Knight going to drop down next and deal a couple of points of damage on the Demolisher. Interesting choice. I don't know why exactly. I mean, I guess I understand kind of why he attacked it. Get a little bit of health off of it because you want it to die quick, but it will take out the Patriarch. And the Gorilla goes down. So now Garrosh left with his 3/1 War Axe, which he is not going to use quite yet. Probably a good move. See what kind of cards he has open to him, and then decide what move to take. But Warrior decks have a lot of utility to him, but it all really depends on what he got in the draw. Like, if he didn't get a lot of the good ability cards, then he could be kind of hosed. But it looks like he will use that attack and drop a Weaponsmith to get another 2/2 weapon to replace it with. He's going to play the Coin and Whirlwind, which should wrap things up. So, alright. Another quick point of damage onto the Druid player. Now we'll have to see how Ors wants to respond. So, both of those minions are injured. The Demolisher almost dead. Probably want to take that out pretty quickly, just to avoid that extra 1 point of damage that's going to be floating around. You know. Best bet would be you can take it out with a hero power, but you're only on the 5-drop point, so it kind of limits what you can play as well. So he's going to have to evaluate what options are available to him. It looks like he will pop his hero power, probably going to take that Demolisher out, yeah. And he will drop the injured Blade Master, which will hurt itself, and roll on. So a very creative little minion there that hurts itself. Dread Corsair coming into play. Costs less depending on the amount of the attack power of your weapon. And he will slam that Blade Master to draw a card. And tag it with his weapon to finish it off. Eat a couple points of damage, but still, it's very early. No need to worry. That Emperor Cobra, very useful minion. It's certainly one of my favorite 3-drops because you can attack literally anything with it. And even if it kills it, it will take it out. As long as it's not silenced. So, that of course is one of the curses of many minions. I actually saw a comment about that. I don't remember what card I was evaluating that said it basically became useless after silence, and I didn't respond to that comment, but it took a lot within me to not just say, oh, like almost every card. Like most cards that have their own passive abilities become useless when they're silenced. That's kind of the point behind silence. It was Alakir. I highly rated Alakir the Windlord. And somebody said it became useless after silence, and it's like, well, yeah, I guess it does, but so do many other cards. Not every card. You know, cards with really strong battle cries are going to be pretty useful, but... So right now, Ors is deciding very heavily on that Druid of the Claw, which can give him either a charge minion or a taunt minion. But it looks like he's going to drop that Iron Fur Grizzly instead, and the Emperor Cobra. It's a good thing I had that speech prepared. I didn't actually have it prepared, but it's a good thing I had that speech, so that it could fill the gap while we were staring intently at Druid of the Claw. Quick Cleave. Doesn't finish anything off, but it does enough damage that... Oh, that's what he's going to dish out here. Oh, he's going to use Execute. Interesting choice. And he's going to attack the Cobra himself to finish it off. And armor up. So far this warrior's playing pretty smart. Not sacrificing his minions needlessly. He's taking everything out by using his abilities, which is very handy. Mad Bomber, that would be a good card to play now, because he doesn't have any other minions on the field. So any of the damage that goes out, it might hit the hero, but it might also hit his opponent. And... yep. Oh, very nice. Alright, so that worked out pretty well for him. Took that Corsair down to 1 HP, did another point of damage to the hero, and he didn't need any damage at all. So, can't really argue the success of that. Now we'll have to see if he decides to play anything else. He could take that Corsair out with his hero power, and he will do that at the cost of a couple points of damage, and play the Raid Leader to buff up the Mad Bomber to 4-2. Granted, it can be taken out by that Weaponsmith, but it really depends on what else Garrosh has available to put into the field. I don't know if he really wants to sacrifice that minion just to take that Mad Bomber out. You just have a Kor'kron Elite and a Warsong Commander, so everything will have charge. Granted, that minion had charge anyway. So, first attack takes out the Raid Leader, and down goes the Mad Bomber. So really good control deck here by the Warrior. He's keeping the field in his possession. He's not letting Ors have many minions on the field at any given time. If he does play that Ironbeak Owl, which is perhaps the most useful card in the game, I will say almost hands down, it is one of the best cards in the game. If he decides to play that, I would certainly silence the 2-3 card there, of whose name has escaped me right now. But he's going to play Druid of the Claw. He has to pick, though, taunt or charge before he plays anything else. And he will put into bear form. So he could silence the minion that gives everything else charge, which would be very handy. But no, he's going to pop his hero power instead. Interesting choice to take so much damage just to take that minion out, but it could be worth it in the end. We'll have to see. Remember what I've said many, many times. Health is a resource, so use it. And that's what Ors is doing right now. He's using his health as a resource to trade off to take minions out. And that could be a very smart move. Armor up, a very powerful hero power. And that's all he's got. Alright, interesting. So now it's time to see how Ors responds, because now he's got a little bit of control here. He can easily take that minion out and still survive, because it'll only be 2 damage. But he's going to play Hogger, and he still has 3 mana to go, so he can drop Mana Addict. But it looks like he's got a very minion-heavy deck, so I don't know if Mana Addict is the best option here. But at least he's getting more minions out. So right now, the tide of the battle has turned. But here comes Onyxia. Oh my. So Onyxia hits the field. It's Hogger versus Onyxia at this point, and the field is full of whelps. Now it's a matter of responding to this. How exactly do you respond to all of this? So, as you can see, Onyxia's battle cry is summon whelps to fill out the battlefield, which can be good and can be bad depending on what's going on. Obviously, 1 Onyxia and 6 whelps is not probably the best combination of minions sacrificing one of them into something else to take some damage off of it, so you clear a spot, and then dropping down a buff minion like a raid leader or a Stormwind captain or something like that, can be really beneficial. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of very powerful whelps and a really strong minion force. So it's not a bad card to play, and you get a full field of minions that you can then adjust, but it works better obviously when you can synergize things a little bit more. In this case, there's really not much to synergize, so Ors has to decide. It looks like he's going to start clearing out some of those whelps instead of focusing on Onyxia, and play that 1/7 taunt minion. Hero power to take out another whelp, and we're down to Onyxia and one little whelpling. And another gnoll, courtesy of Hogger. So right now, if he decides to attack with Onyxia, he's got 4 minions that he has to clear out first. Probably would be wise to take out the 1/7 minion, but there goes the Lord of the Arena, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Take out the most health-happy one of the gnolls, and he did silence Hogger there, which is a very smart move using that Spellbreaker. Alright, Bite, that can be very useful, but he does have to get rid of that Lord of the Arena first. He could sacrifice the Mana Addict and his Druid of the Claw to take the Lord of the Arena out. Though it would put him in a kind of a rough spot, but he could then pop his hero power and that Bite. Or he could silence it with that Iron Beak Owl. He's still holding on to that. Options here are kind of interesting. But let's see what he decides to do. Because popping hero power and Bite is going to give him 5 attack on this turn. But he's starting to run low on HP, so he's got to manage everything a little carefully. Alright, playing Bite did buff up that Mana Addict. Oh, and he's actually going to take off the Lord of the Arena. Smart move because he had all that extra armor, so it only took 1 point of damage. And he's going to take out Onyxia. Alright, and use his bear to finish off the final minion. So, okay, things are looking pretty good. So he's got that one gnoll out there, and he drops the Imp Master. Takes a couple points of that armor off, and a pretty good turn, I would say. So another minion to produce more minions, which is always nice. So right now we are kind of just waiting to see. We'll take that gnoll out and sacrifice his Divine Shield for it. Armor up once again. There's another Druid of the Claw. That could be very handy to throw another taunt minion out there. Really no use for that owl, though, at this point. Nothing good to silence. So we'll pop another bear. And, could just attack blindly into Garrosh. Get 3 points of damage, finally kill all that armor. Granted, we're at that point in the game where there's low cards on the warrior side and a lot of mana. So he's going to be popping armor up almost every turn. So it gets to the point where you really need to start bringing out some high-value minions that can do a lot of damage. And deal those out to the hero, else Garrosh is just going to, stack and stack and stack his armor. I mean, fortunately right now, Ors is slightly ahead in the damage versus armor department, so he can keep ahead of the armor up. But it does become annoying when every turn you have to deal with 2 extra armor, giving you trouble. Alright, playing Inner Rage and Rampage to take out the Druid of the Claw. He armors up again, but he is down to 1 HP, which means he can throw an Imp at that and take it out, which is probably the most logical step to do at this point. Indeed. Sacrifice one of those Imps, not really a big deal. And he will buff up the Imp Master, which will give it an extra turn to bring out more Imps and an extra point of damage. So here we go, we're shuffling forward. So now it's back to the kind of the card trade point where both players are down to their final cards, or their like last card in the hand. So every turn is kind of a trade back and forth to see what can I play, what can't I play. Alright, so silence on that Imp Master kills the buff, and it also kills its imp producing effect. Or Defender of Argus would be way more beneficial if there were more minions out there with more HP, but he could play it between the Shattered Sun Cleric and the Imp Master to at least have 2, you know, 3 value minions. 3 health taunt minions, I should say. Okay, interesting. He's going to play it between the Imps. It will buff them up at least, so they're 2/2. And I'll keep doing a little bit more HP, or a little bit more damage, I should say. And yeah, things are looking really good for Ors right now. He's in a very good spot. He's got a pretty decent minion field in control. And Garrosh is getting to the point where, you know, he's playing turn by turn, so he doesn't have a lot of options. I mean, he has to keep armoring up every turn, because why wouldn't he? Questing Adventurer would be very handy. Now, he could play the Questing Adventurer and the Owl to silence the Cobra's effects and keep it from really killing anything. Or he could just kill it and trade a minion off for it. At least something that can deal 3 damage, but I don't know if he wants to do that. I mean, dealing with 1, 2, 3 minion versus dealing with a 2/3 minion that can basically kill whatever it wants could be problematic, because he could use that to take out either the, you know, Shattered Sun Cleric or the Defender of Argus. But he's going to drop that Questing Adventurer first and play his hero power and just start attacking. It may not even be an issue, to be honest. It's starting to reach that point where there's not a lot of options left for the warrior, and this really might be it. If the warrior doesn't get a good card here, he's pretty much toast. And yeah, he is going to forfeit, so he will concede the match, and Ors will take the win. Victory for the Druid player. So there you have it. There's that arena match in a nutshell. So that was a pretty good match. I mean, you know, arena decks are always fun to see because you never really know what you're going to get and what you're going to be playing against. So you have to really try to plan and coordinate something. I'm terrible at arena, so you've seen arena time. I'm horrible at it, but some people are good at it, and some people can actually win. I don't happen to be one of those people. Maybe someday. But anyway, that is going to do it for this episode of Shoutstone. Don't forget that you can subscribe and get updates every single day, because we do post new videos every day. Or you can like this video, leave a comment. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter as well. Links are in the description below. And if you're in the beta, send me your games. I want to cast them. I will cast them on this channel. Over 1,000 subscribers. Hundreds of people will be able to see your games. I would say over 1,000 people will be able to see your games, but let's be honest, not every subscriber actually watches all my videos. That's okay. Get it good and people will watch it. But alright, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time.